You gotta love the time change at times. Here it is, 6 something and like 6:30 or so, and we're almost 7, and it's a beautiful evening. There's a slight breeze. The Santa Ana is keeping it a little bit warm, but you can feel the cutting edge of a chill on it. And we're sitting here for God Bless Us Taco Tuesday. This is kind of an interesting night. Well, an interesting day altogether. As some of you might know, I've been posting a daily gratitude or thankful post of what I think is cool. Yesterday was kind of complex with, I was more grateful or thankful that Monday's end. Get through them. I'm watching the news today and sort of paying attention to what's going on. I struggled, and I'm still struggling with what to say about gratitude today. And we have those horrendous fires in the foothills and canyons and around us to the north, and people are losing their lives, and they're losing their homes, and they're losing everything. I believe what is the town of Paradise is gone. A town is gone. God, what can you say about that? Jesus. Anyways, so it's. I want to express gratitude and thanks for those that are on the line and that are risking their lives to try and bring this to an end. But it's a little hard because I don't think those people should be put in that situation. They chose a job that puts them in that situation, but I guess it's just I wish they weren't. I wish they were back at home or in their stations and preparing to take care of what little emergencies they have in their towns, their cities, and but instead they're working non-stop against a horrific act of nature, And now there's all sorts of debate about. Thank you. You're welcome. What Trump said, and there's an act of nature against, or an act of. There's a reaction to the fact that more could have been done to prevent it, and then I think in the last fire we had a lot about people living in those areas in those regions. Well, it's last places to build, I guess. And of course, this is America, so if you can afford it, and you want to, and you choose to, and in some cases you can't afford it, but you can choose to go up in there and try and get it, and live up in those areas, into somewhat a more remote, less populated area. I can dig it. Suburbia is just climbing over. It seems like all we do in suburbia is climb over each other. But whatever the reason is, the fires there. The fires would happen whether people live there or not. Now, the fires, those brush fires, those wildfires, or whatever you wish to call them, would happen pretty much anyways, and it always happened, and it happened for centuries before even the Spanish came to rape and rob and create Mexico. We talk about the Europeans. Well, they are European, but we talk about what went on with the Indians here, and not saying it was good. I think the Native Americans were treated a lot better than the Spanish treated the natives that they came across. They virtually made the Aztec, I think, extinct. Or damn near close. And same with the Incas. And not just with the diseases and whatever they carried, but with whips and with guns and blades. They whittled them down. All for gold. All for gold. Anyways, it's a Taco Tuesday. And we enjoyed 2 carnitas and a El Pastor taco and our salad. And there was a positive there. It was a plus for us. One for the good team, for the good fight. Just, I don't know, it's hard to post something grateful for this time, for this day. It's just, people are disappearing, people are dying. Oh, and on top of that, at 95 or 97, Stan Lee passed away. If you're not familiar with Stan Lee, find a comic book called Spider-Man. He was a big piece of Marvel. If you've seen a Marvel movie, you've seen Stan Lee. He does quick little cameos. They're all fairly funny and kind of cool. Little girl come running up, or little kid come running up and with her family and kind of took a dive on the concrete, and that's what you're hearing.
He's fine.
And
He's fine.
Okay, that's enough.
Go.
Kids being kids. Kids being kids.
It's already white.
Yeah. Kids being kids. That's all I can tell you. What was it, a Batman movie where Alfred asked Batman, or Bruce, why do we fall? So we can get up again. I guess there's a lesson in that. And isn't it interesting that if you watch a TV show or you watch a movie, especially a movie, you can hear a line or hear something said as a result of the situation that has been written into the script, and that is just chock full of wisdom and wonderful sayings. I mean, I looked it up. I actually looked this up on Goggle, and in the movie The Kingsman, there's the phrase that they use, I think, twice. That it was manners maketh man. And that is sort of a school motto or saying, I think, at Oxford or Cambridge in England. Has been for a few hundred years. I don't know who coined the phrase, but it's something that has gone on about. I love it when people walk up and I'm talking to you out there. I do want to point out something, that this is... I'm sitting here alone at a Mexican restaurant outside on the patio, having this chat or this rant or whatever, pretty much giving everyone or some people some of my views or my opinions, and we're talking about the events of the day or the week. And this is completely random. I'm riffing here, or impromptu, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not following a script. I haven't written anything. I haven't rehearsed anything.
He said 3.
And I'm not sitting here talking to somebody else. I'm talking to you on the phone. And so I kind of like need to, sometimes I think I need to point that out. Probably that's one reason why I'm a little bit lower key, is because I'm out in public, and a couple, man and a woman, that was kind of checking me out, a young couple walked by, and I think they were checking me out. They were going to go into the restaurant, and then they sort of wandered off. We're still here. I think they're waiting for somebody. But yeah, they were checking me out. I'm sitting here talking to myself. But yeah, we need to do some of these. I need to do some of these with somebody else sitting with me, you know, and get a better view, or maybe, you know, do it from the bearded inner sanctum, and with my computer, with my laptop and the laptop camera, and with a much wide angle, and sitting with somebody having a discussion or a talk or a debate or whatever. And I'll pick a subject, and I mean, whatever. Maybe I should also sit down and start to write some stuff. And do a bit or two, I guess, you know. There you go. We'll do some shtick. Anyways, as usual, like, I don't think anybody's watching, but I will check later in the day or later in the evening, and I will see how many views I've got here in the first 5 or 6 hours, and maybe then also I'll have come up with something to post. I don't know, something to post about gratefulness and thanks. I mean, I think the best you can say about today and what's going on in California is thank you and thank God for the firefighters. You know, I saw a meme that was kind of interesting, and it made sense. I mean, I don't think they attacked sanctuary cities or stuff for illegal aliens, but with money that they spent on it was the bullet train. The money they've already spent on the bullet train, they could have bought 30 or 40 of these. I think they're Canadian-built sea tankers that they're like a seaplane. They can fly in over the ocean or a big enough lake, and they can hit the water, and they can fill and scoop water up and then take off, and they can carry tens of thousands of gallons of water, and they could that way they can drop it on fires. I know the bigger tankers, the jet tankers that need to sit down and be filled are generally not filled with water, but they're filled with the retardant, the red stuff or the orange stuff or whatever that has a seed in it that helps it recover. I always wonder if, especially with our science and our technology, if there was a way to create a compound that could be compact and small enough and store enough of it that those tankers could come in and scoop, and then the stuff could be mixed into the water, and and expand, and you know, you can do 3 or 4 landings or tank dips, and then before it has to land for fuel and to be resupplied with the retardant. The retardant really helps. A lot of times, what the helicopters drop and what those water tankers drop, a good chunk of it turns to steam before it hits the ground because of the temperature. And but it cools the air, and it helps with the fighting of the fire. And that couple came back. He's kind of cute. Anyways, it helps. It helps the situation while they're trying to shovel and cut breaks or put some sort of water or retardant on it from the ground to put it out or to retard it. It's just a tool, and it just helps. It does help, I guess, cooling cooling the flame helps control it and slow it down and eventually put it out. I believe it's the triad of fire is fuel, heat, and oxygen. And so if you can reduce the heat, and maybe that'll alter the fuel and change the oxygen content. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I'm not a fireman, and these guys actually study. Those guys have to take a written test on that kind of on the science of it all. They have to know hydraulics, and they have to know, for instance, how much water certain things can be pumped a minute, how many gallons or whatever, and they have to do the math on that. And it's pretty cool. I mean, it's not just a bunch of guys volunteering, pulling a wagon down the street, hand pumping water onto a fire. It's a science, The trucks and equipment used and that are engineered, the city planners and the city engineers have the specialists that route the fire plugs and the fire equipment. I don't know how they do it, but it has to maintain a certain pressure, line pressure, because you need that to. And I believe when you fill the pumpers, the trucks that are really what they're pumpers, their tanks. You need to keep their tanks sort of full, but whatever the pressure is you're putting out, I believe the pumper itself increases the pressure of the water that's exiting. So it's, but correct me if I'm wrong. I'm always asking for and I'll always still ask for anybody that has a comment or any information they can add to whatever I'm talking about, or maybe challenge me on my point of view. I was in a discussion yesterday with the owner of the restaurant, and one thing we both agreed upon is even though we may have some differences in some areas, it doesn't change our relationship, our friendship, and whether I come here or not or whatever, I don't call him names, he doesn't call me names, and we pretty much drop it, and we don't, It's not a battle. It's a discussion and an exchangement of views, opinions, or maybe even facts. And when we do these kind of things, as I pointed out, and he totally agreed. He goes, without having a discussion, we need to discuss things. We need to talk about it. We need to bounce this off, whether we differ or not, in order to grow and in order to change and reach a certain point. We do both agree on one thing. We like and don't like Trump for different reasons, but we all agree that maybe somebody should take his Twitter away from him at times. He's the President of the United States, bottom line. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I think so far, for some of the things I've heard and seen that he's doing a marvelous job. And of course, everything that he says or does or claims to have done is propaganda, and it's Obama. And somebody else did it, like Obama. But, everything that happened during the Obama presidency was George Bush's fault. So, we both agree that there's too much identity politics. That is the worst thing. I know many people, some people, younger people, will just look at me and say, well, he's white, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he's obviously privileged and this and that. And my son and I have had a talk about that. Even though he's probably more on their side, he seems to realize that, he hasn't seen much white privilege in his life, and neither have I. And I don't know. If I've seen it in the upper echelon, and I've seen it from people who are screaming about white privilege. Pocahontas. I mean, want to know why college is so expensive? a person gets $500,000 a year to teach one class. One class. And she got her degree and she got into college because she took advantage of ethnic appropriation. So remember that when that person goes to run for office. I wish I could convince the people of Massachusetts that. Anyways, it's chilly. It's starting to get a little chilly. It's nice right now. I'm in the city and I'm shielded by buildings and whatnot. I am not in the canyons or the ridges or the backcountry a bit. Not on the edge of civilization like some of our communities are. So as far as I know, I can feel a breeze. There's a nice breeze. It's gusting a little bit, I guess, from the feel of it. But this is not in the canyon. It's in the middle of the city. I have a couple of rather tall buildings around me, and I'm sitting on a porch and whatnot, protected on a couple of sides. So, what's going on out there, I don't know. I can't use this as a barometer to tell you what's going on in those canyons. This is supposed to go on for a few more days. And I can tell you that when I worked for the resort, for the Disney resort, we used to joke a little bit. And I mentioned it as a rookie, as a new person, like in my second or third year. And people agreed with me, and long-term employees laughed and said, yeah, But when the Christmas tree used to come from wherever they got it from, and they put it up, you could always tell when it had arrived and gone up in the area where it was being decorated, because the Santa Ana's hit. That would be the first Santa Ana of the fall. And pretty much. And I mean, I've seen it so bad that it actually has snapped the top of the tree off, and they repaired it, and they put the piece back on. It was a little bit shorter, but they put it back on, and they always got that perfect tree. And if you worked there and you were in those back areas and you saw it, you would understand why. They use an artificial tree now, but it has had its problems and negative results as due to the Santa winds, because it's a very tall tree, and it's 30 feet, 40 feet. I believe it towers above the second story of Main Street. So I don't know. It was always seemed to be a barometer of what was going on before you even got to work. You come out and you go to get in your car, or you go to grab your bike or whatever, and you're hitting these 20 or 30 mile an hour gusts of wind down the street. So you're like, oh, okay, trees in. And so there you go. Let's all take a little time, take a little moment to think, and maybe consider those guys that are on the line fighting the fires. I know I do. That's all I can say. It's all I can ask. Like I said, this is random. This is impromptu. This is not scripted. I have thought a couple of times about doing that, laying out, and that way putting out a better cognate argument for whatever it is I'm upset over, or have noticed in the news, or have a strong opinion on, or a view on. This is America. Remember that. This is America. You have that right. And what you don't have the right to is to be violent against others just for their view. And unfortunately, I'm going to say it, that includes members of the Klan and members of the American Nazi Party, and it also includes members of the Black Panthers and La Raza. You know, white people don't have a monopoly on racism and these kind of views and these kind of arguments and this kind of behavior. There is racism and prejudice and racial purity, or whatever you want to call it, is the sole domain of human beings. Through reading and other things, I've come to the conclusion, for instance, that some of the most prejudiced and racist people in the world are the Japanese. You need to learn more about them. If it is not Japanese, it is not of any quality. Remember that. But that's okay. I'm actually for nationalism. I'm actually for people to believe in their country and to support their country and stand for their country. I believe that no matter what race, ethnic group, color, culture, whatever, you're American. If you're a citizen and you live here, you're American first. And after that, you can be whatever. You know, when people come here and immigrate here, I'm all for them maintaining their language, their cultures, and but to assimilate, learn English, and become American. It's evident in our culture, in the American culture, because of what we've seen and what we've done. There's a lot of people that are that we have. Look at it, we have. When we go out to eat, we argue. No matter what race we are, or what color or whatever, we argue about what are we going to go out to dinner for. Are we going to go have good old-fashioned steak? Are we going to have Chinese or Vietnamese or Mexican or Italian? There are Irish bars and restaurants, or especially bars and pubs that serve Irish delicacies and Irish fare, as well as English and whatnot. You can go, if you want, Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez or whatever can go down and get some bratwurst and a mulligan stew. You know, as far as I'm concerned, they can eat and do whatever they want. We are a rich, diverse culture, and we celebrate Cinco de Mayo. That's not even an American holiday. I think we celebrate it because, well, everyone likes to drink. A good excuse to get drunk. Like St. Patrick's Day. They barely celebrate St. Patrick's Day, or if they do, it's much, much, much different than it is here in America. So yeah, we need to remember that. You know, we need to remember that the contribution of every nationality that decided to move to America and become an American. We need to view, and we need to view it as an American contribution. You know, to me, like for instance, Charlene Thiersen is an African American. Oh, Debbie, I'm going to tag you. Charlene Thiersen is an African American. She was born in South Africa. She became a famous actress or whatever. She came to the United States to make films and whatever, and she decided to become an American citizen. So she is, I would say, an African American. You can jump my shit you want, all you want, but to me that's what it is. My grandmother on my dad's side was from Ireland. She came here for whatever reason, and she met my grandfather, and they married, and she stayed. And so I would call her an Irish American. I'm not. I'm an American. I'm an American of Irish, French, and maybe French Canadian Indian descent. My grandfather on my dad's side, I believe, somewhere along the line, his parents or his grandparents came from Canada and moved to Ohio and became Americans. On my mother's side, I have relatives. That actually fought in the Civil War. How long they were here, I'm not quite sure. They may have been here long before the Civil War. As far back as the beginning, the early part, or the beginning of the 1800s, or the end of the 1700s. I don't know. They may have been here before that. My grandfather's family may have been here in the United States and Canada before the Revolutionary War. I don't know. We haven't dug back that deep. Whatever the reason is, it doesn't mean you're not an American. If you came here from Timbuktu or Cancun or Kwajalein or whatever, and you've been here long enough and you've applied for and passed all the tests and given your oath and become an American citizen, you're an American. And that's what I mean. If you want to come here and immigrate, you do it legally. And if you want to become an American, you do. You become an American and you Americanize yourself and you blend and you become part of the culture. And wherever you came from, whatever customs or rituals, food, dress, mannerisms, or whatever, if you happen to, blend those into the American psyche, into America, then they will become a part of it. They will increase the diversity of which we are. I mean, I have no qualms with that. Some of your customs, some of your customs and some of your traditions might fit very, 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 very well in this country. They do. So many do. I mean, I'll give you a good example. The English and the Canadians and Irish and whatever all celebrate what is called Boxing Day. It is the day after Christmas Day, generally. And as it was explained to me by an English friend of mine, Christmas Eve and Christmas are about family and about, Christianity and whatnot. And then the day after Christmas is for friends and community. And so there's the town he lived in and he grew up in, on Boxing Day there would be, in the public squares, whatever, there would be boxing exhibitions and matches, and there would be food and party and drink, and everyone would be, that wasn't a member of your immediate family or whatever, would be in your home, or you would be out in the streets with them or in their homes, celebrating the holiday. Celebrating the friendship, the fellowship, and enjoying the holiday. And that has never ever caught on here in the United States. But we have Cinco de Mayo. So, anyways, you all have a good day. Enjoy. Try to post something or say something about our firefighters and those guys that are on the line up there. With that, I'm going to hit finish and say this will be posted later this evening on the Epic Beard and Dave channel in YouTube. Also, you can also visit my other channel, the Dave Besaw channel, and on there you can comment and say what you want, and you can comment and say whatever you want on Facebook after I post this, or it'll post right after I finish it. So, thank you. Thank you for watching. Your comments and everything are always welcome, and your participation during the filming of these sometimes is definitely wanted. So, you all have a good day and good night.